Thank you. Good evening. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Todd, as always, it's great to work with you in the building trades. I am Gavin Donohue. I'm president of the Independent Power Producers of New York. I've been here almost 20 years. I am also a member of the state's Climate Action Council that's tasked with moving us into a clean energy future. And I also think I bring some history to this issue because I'm the former executive deputy commissioner of DEC and spent over 10 years of my life dealing with Article 10 cases in clean energy siting of renewables and natural gas infrastructure across the state. So I'm very proud to be here. Let me talk a little bit about in New York State what we're facing as mandates. This is a state law that was passed a year ago. You can see the outline bulleted provisions of it on the slide. Daunting tasks. Just because that is legislated, I'm not certain if we will get there, but we as a state have to work hard to try to electrify our whole economy, and these are the parameters associated with that. Trying not to be redundant, I think energy diversity is absolutely huge. Bill Reed, Dan Scammer, the members I represent are really interested in moving towards an efficient grid, but we need those decisions made on science and fact-based policy. You can't just legislate physics, the lights need to stay on. Reliability is my #1 issue every day. So what we need is dispatchable, flexible units to rely on for our energy future in New York. Renewables are critically important to our future, but they're not the total answer for all of this. Issues surrounding renewables are intermittency. When, as Michelle discussed, when you don't have the wind or the sun, you're not going to have the electricity. You have to have a resilient system. You have to be able to curtail different units at times based on heat rates. You also have to have a resilient system. Weather changes very quickly in New York State, so you need to be able to have fast ramping resources that are available to address Mother Nature and all the concerns we have in New York. Renewables are certainly a great investment for New York, will help us in the future years, but it is also certainly a resource to back up natural gas plants in the state. Next slide. Let's talk about carbon emissions. This is something I spend a good portion of my day on. Our electricity system has never been cleaner in New York. We are more efficient and reliable today than we were 20 years ago. The use of fossil fuels gets maligned many times in New York State, but it is really the backbone of our reliability and also our economic future. Just some statistics. The electric sector in New York has reduced carbon emissions in the last 20 years over 56%. We've also reduced SO2 and NOx, which are also emittents from the power plants, by 98% and NOx down 90%. What really needs to be focused here, and the highlight of this slide, is to look at the transportation sector. While we have reduced our CO2 emissions in the electricity sector, the power sector has gone up, the transportation sector, has gone up 24%. What is really something we're living through right now is the coronavirus pandemic. Some of the environmentalists have argued that our emissions are down and that natural gas is the reason we have some of the problems we have in our state. That's not true. The reason the emission sector, the emission attributes have been achieved is because we've had less cars on the roads. As we all know, many of us are all working from home, and essentially our economy has been shut down in New York State. That's why the emissions are down. Power facilities have kept running. Your electricity has never been in question, particularly in New York City. Natural gas has been a large contributor to that. Hospitals, the grocery stores, classrooms, nursing homes, all those things that are essential for our future and day-to-day lives have not been hampered by any of the COVID issues. So we need to go back to what I talked about at the beginning about the need for reliability in New York State is very paramount. Next slide. Natural gas. It's not just me saying that natural gas, or Michelle or Bill or Todd or anybody else here tonight that natural gas is needed. It's a fact. The ISO has come out with studies talking about that they need resources that are flexible, controllable, or dispatchable. That is natural gas. That's what the Dan Scammer power plant will bring, and that's why it's important that folks pay attention to this project and recognize the clean attributes associated with it. Another document that I think is folks that are interested in this project should get off the website of the ISO is Power Trends. It really gets into the meat of how the electricity system is reliable and what attributes are associated with it. Next slide. I think, not to be repetitive, but one of the things that is really important about the Dan Scammer facility and Bill and his team is private investment, private capital money. The repowering of this facility is on private investors. In years past, it used to be on ratepayers living in the Hudson Valley would have to pay for these types of upgrades through a rate case through Central Hudson. That is not the case. This is Bill and his team looking at the future and realizing that private investment will benefit ratepayers in the future. And that is a critical component of it. While you get a better environment, a new, reliable, quicker, fast-acting, more efficient unit, you're getting the private sector investment, which is, I think, we're all supportive of. So I wish Dan Scammer and the folks associated with nothing but the best. We need natural gas. We need this project. And I congratulate everybody involved to getting it to where it is today. So I'll turn it back to Todd.